I have a little presentation for you guys here, and voila. So that's an amazing one, right? So I have like beginner's guide to UIUX design and practical implementation of product design thinking process. Now, before I start going through the slide, I would love to explain a little thing that actually motivated me to actually make this particular video. Now, one of the things that motivated me to make this video, as I clearly tweeted in that particular Twitter thread, was the fact that I was opportunity to interview someone, and I asked the person, what is your design thinking process? Actually, not only one person, actually. I did a series of interviews, interviewed a lot of candidates, and I asked most of them the same question: what's your design thinking process like? And I could hear someone telling me something like, they go on Behance, they go on Dribble, make research for what they have to do, then they now start sketching this particular stuff, right? Amazing stuff, right, that anybody could actually tell you. And from their own point of view, they might just be feeling like, damn, I killed this stuff. I just basically gave the interviewer the best of me, and I don't think I did anything wrong. But I was expecting something that is more or less like industry standard. I was expecting something more professional, right? And unfortunately, I couldn't get it from a lot of them. And my follow-up question is always like, okay, if that's your design thinking process, right, how did you learn? How did you basically learn this career? So I've seen so many people trying to switch or transition from a certain career path into UX design or product design, right? And they learn so many ways, right? They learn either from friends or by going or pay for a boot camp or probably watching a YouTube video or getting an Udemy course or so on and so forth, right? There are several ways people have actually learned this stuff. And I can tell you, as someone that is in the industry and as someone also that also trained people time to time, some of the things that I strongly believe that people are actually doing wrong in terms of how they start their career and how they learn. Because how you start your career might actually be a solid foundation. Now, as I'm about to start this class, I will encourage each and every one of us to actually have like a sheet of paper somewhere or probably a notepad somewhere where you can jot stuff, right? So, but this presentation I'm having here, I prepared it on Figma. So basically this is the file on Figma as well. I was just preparing it before the class. So I prepared it on Figma so I could actually give you guys access to this particular slide as well. If you guys want it, right? I could give you guys access to the slide. So, but of course, it will also be good if you have your writing material beside you, your jotting material, so you can actually take down these things. Now, the goal of today's class, the goal of this particular class tonight is to help us understand processes, professional processes. That is the goal, as we clearly understand the job of a product designer, or as I would love to call product designer in this industry, UI/UX designers, right? So that being said, let's get started. Now, let me do a little bit introduction about Nerdy Eye. That is my firm where I work, and probably it kind of be my startup, right? See, there's a little typography error here. So Nerdy Eye is a software development firm that is focused on building a community platform for community builders. We help tech recruiters hire the right talent. We train and help talent start their career in tech. So basically what we do at Nerdy Eye, at first we started as a software development firm. We help people build websites and mobile apps. But after the pandemic, we pivoted to become more community-centric. And currently, we are actually building our community platform, which I think is really, really amazing. I'll be sharing some of these screens with you guys so you guys will see what we are actually building in-house for you guys to actually use in the future, right? And we help recruiters, tech recruiters actually recruit talent around this particular tech space, from product designers to front-end developers, to back-end developers, to digital marketers and graphic designers, right? So about myself, I have 8 years experience. I'm a full stack developer. I'm a product designer. I'm a digital marketing expert as well. I'm currently building Nerdy Eye, of course, with a couple of other people. And I love to create content about tech, and I love to talk about businesses as far as it relates to tech. So that's just a little bit introduction about myself. So without wasting more of our time, let's get started. As I clearly said in the beginning of this particular session tonight, I said that I will try as much as I can to be sweet. I'll try as much as I can to also be fast. I'll be swift, I'll be fast, I'll go straight to the point so that I can actually give room for questions, right? So if anybody has questions, they can actually just go ahead and ask. And please, I want you guys to help me with one favor. If you have, if people are asking questions inside the WhatsApp group saying like stuff like the Zoom is filled up, please, you guys, anybody that is available can easily just reply them and tell them to join via Google Meet as well. And again, the second favor will be that, at any point in time you felt like, wow, you hit that that VERMA, you caught one VERMA. I love to call it VERMA. You caught any VERMA in the class. You can actually take a screenshot, tweet about it, tag me, tag Samuel Linus. I think that's my Twitter handle. _Samuel Linus and Neddy I on Twitter, and definitely I will see your tweet and I will definitely retweet it, and tell me, share online on social media what you actually gain from tonight. You can take a screenshot at any point in time, and that will be much appreciated, right? And thirdly, at the end of the webinar, I will also be making a tweet, and I would love you guys to actually drop your comments and your reviews about the class tonight, if you like it and if you're looking forward for more. Now, that being said, let's talk about what UI design is, just in case we have absolute beginners. So I want to assume that tonight right here, we have two categories of people. We have the absolute beginners, the people that are just looking to transition their career into tech, right, as product designers, or people that want to learn UI UX design, or people that already know UX design to some certain level, let me say to an intermediate level, and they are looking forward to know more, or probably will just have a professional in-house that is even advanced, right, among us here, but just want to see what I'm trying to say, right? So I know that I'll be putting this three category of audience in mind as I speak. So let me start for those that are absolute beginners, so they'll just get to understand what UI UX design is, right? So UI design, UI refers to user interface. User interface refers to the visual tools that users need to interact with a product. It is also the structure of elements on a screen or web page, e.g. a button on the screen. For example, when you visit a mobile app, you are using a mobile app, or you visit a website, the buttons that you're seeing, the text that you're seeing, all of those stuffs, they are part of what? The UI, user interface. So in fact, everything that the user interacts with that particular application is termed as what? The user interface. So when design is added to user interface, it simply means you are the one actually coming up with that particular design. You are the one that said, okay, let this particular button be down, instead of this, let it be up. That is the structure, right? Instead of this text to be here on top, let this text be below. That is the interface. Now, the next I want to take a look at is user experience, UX. UX refers to user experience, and UX design is the process of enhancing user satisfaction by improving the usability and accessibility provided in the interaction between the user and the product. Now, for UI is about appearance, UI is about beauty, UI is about layout, UI is about the interface, right? But UX is about the satisfaction of the user. How do the user feel after making use of that particular digital product in this sphere of influence? How they feel after making use of the mobile app, or how they feel after making use of the web application, right? So I want to talk about types of products, right? Before I proceed. So we have like two major types of products out there, right? We have what we call the tangible product, and we have what we call the intangible product. A tangible product is a physical object that can be perceived by touch, such as building, vehicles, gadgets, clothing. For example, if you're using an iPhone, it's a tangible product, right? Because you can actually own one, you can actually touch one. If you are using a banking application, for example, it's an intangible product because it's a software. For example, Microsoft as a company, most of the time they deal with intangible products because Microsoft is an operating system, right? A software that you install, and so on and so forth, right? So if you're working with application, it's intangible. Softwares are intangible products, right? You cannot actually touch them, right? So an intangible product is a product that can be perceived indirectly, such as a digital product. Even ebooks, right, in some sense of influence, are also intangible products, right? But when we are talking about stuff like a shoe, like Adidas, like I have on this particular screen here, it's an example of tangible product because you can touch it, right? Right. So the world operates with two types of product, the whole world as we speak, tangible and intangible product. Physical product that you can ship, you can touch, and digital product that you cannot ship, but it is, and you can actually experience it, right? So in this sphere of influence, we are designing intangible products, right? So let's talk about product design. What exactly is product design? Product design can be defined as the general process a designer goes through to evenly blend user requirements with the business objectives or goals, right? That is what product design is, right? Let me repeat that again. Product design can be defined as the general process a designer goes through to evenly blend the user requirements with the business objectives or goals. Now, I know so many people I've heard of so many people that are confused. Okay, what's the difference? Samuel, what's the difference between product design and UIUX design? I've heard so many people asking me that kind of question. No, I'm a UX designer. I'm a UX designer. Am I also a product designer? Or I'm a product designer. Am I also a UX designer? Now, the answer to that particular question is, okay, let me not answer the question. Let me take my slide one step back and let me throw this particular question to each and every one of us here before I continue with the class. Can any person raise up their hand in either Zoom or Google Meet and tell me what they believe is a difference between product design and UI UX design? Anybody? Just try. One or two person. Anybody? Just tell me what you believe is a difference between UX design or product design. I'll be reading the charts. You guys can actually use the chat box, right? I'll be reading it. What do you believe is the difference between UIUX design and product design? Anybody? I'll be reading the chat. I'll be reading the chat. What do you think is the difference? Anybody? No hands are, no, just type it, type it. Just type it. What do you think is the difference? Product design can be about both tangible and intangible products. US is only about intangible products. That's okay. Product design can be about tangible products and intangible products. UX is only about intangible products. Queen is saying UI design is digital and product design is general. Wow. Somebody is saying here, product design is broad in that it could be tangible or intangible. And Yusuf is saying, personally, I feel UI UX is more limited in definition and scope, while product design encompasses the entire UI UX design. All right. I think I have so many smart people here, right? I think someone mic is if your mic is on, please just let me mute it. I think we have so many smart people in here, right? Product design are mainly for tangible and tangible. For tangible and tangible, why UX design is not, okay? I think so many of us, we actually get what we are trying to say. So let me go back to my slide. Right? I believe you guys can see my slide. So let me go back to my slide. So basically, that is what I'm trying to say. So that's the conflict and the difference. I just choose to title that the conflict and the difference because so many folks have asked me, Samuel, I'm learning. You can't see my slide. Are you guys for real now? Oh, so all right, no problem. Let me share it now. All right. So can you guys see it now? And what's the problem?
I can see your screen, sir.
All right. Some people can see it, some people cannot see it. What's the problem? Let me see.
You can see the screen, but the slide is not displaying actually.
All right, I'm coming. Okay. I think I'm the one that I've been getting it wrong. All right, can you guys see my slide now? Everybody? Anybody confirm from, of course. All right.
I see your screen, sir.
Okay, from Zoom, you can see my slide too, right?
Yes.
All right, that's cool. That's cool. I guess
Yes, we
I wasn't presenting well. All right. So let's proceed now. So please let me mute your mic. Anybody, if your mic is what's it called? If your mic is on, just let me mute it. Okay, that's cool. So let's proceed. I think we have so many smart people in here, and most of you guys got it correctly, right? And so that's the conflict. So for the sake of the beginners amongst us, yeah. So many people have asked me, Samuel, what's the difference? This is what I always tell them, right? A UI designer is a product designer. In other words, if you're a UIUX designer, you're automatically a product designer. But a product designer might not necessarily be a UIUX designer. I hope I'm not sounding confused. I'm not confusing anybody here now. A UIUX designer is automatically a product designer. Why? Because you design a kind of product that is called what? The intangible product. But a product designer might not necessarily be a UX designer. The fact is that we have product designer that deals with that originated from graphics design, right? People that actually design using Blender to come up with 3D objects of the product, right? They are also called product designer in their own industry. A product designer might be coming up with packaging design. I'm speaking from the angle of a graphic designer now, right? So those guys are also called product designers, but they are not UI UX designers, right? So product design, in other words, just like I think there's a definition here, there's a difference here that somebody gave that is actually really, really absolutely perfect, right? So product design encompass both UX design and above UX design as well. While UX design is just an aspect of product design that focuses on just intangible products, right? So now, if I'm a UX designer and I say I'm a product designer, I'm absolutely right. Or if you're learning UX design and you say that you're learning product design, you're absolutely right. So I've seen some courses whereby the title of the course is Learn Product Design. And of course, they will teach you UX design. And I've seen some courses where they will say Learn Product Design. And what they're going to teach is not UX design. They're going to teach you probably package design, how to come up with 3D objects, how to come up with labeling, how to come up with several stuffs, right? Right. So that's product design under the aspect of graphic design, right? So a UX designer is a product designer, but a product designer might not be a UI UX designer in this case. But because in our own industry, in the tech industry, we build what kind of products? Intangible products. So if in the tech industry, they are mentioning or they are calling somebody a product designer, they're automatically calling that particular person is a UX designer. Because in the tech industry, we hardly build tangible products. Let me use that word. We hardly build tangible products. So if in the tech industry, you're hearing somebody say, okay, we have a product designer in-house, automatically they're talking about a UX designer, right? Hello, your screen. So somebody here is telling me that, so product designer is an umbrella term, right? So product design is an umbrella term, actually. So please mute. Okay, let me do the muting of the mic myself, right? I can actually mute everybody's mic here. So just in case, let me prevent participants to be able to mute their mic. To be able to unmute their mic. All right, I think I've done that. All right, the noise I've actually ceased. All right, so that's cool. Let me do the same thing here as well. Mute all mics. All right, okay, mute all. Perfect. So let me go back to my stuff. So now, so since we have that background, because I'm putting on that consideration that we have beginners amongst us here. So since we have that, if we have that particular background, so let's take a look at clients' needs. So this is where the entire process starts from, but not actually. Now let's take a look at clients' needs. I just came up with this idea and said, okay, look, someone, I'm going to talk about clients' need, right? So this is like an example, it's like an assumption. A client just contacted you that they have the next world-changing idea and would want a prototype of that digital product. In other words, that particular idea. Wow, I have this amazing idea that I'm going to build this kind of app, and that the first person I'm going to contact is going to be a product designer, right? Now, another client might reach out to you that they want you to add a new feature, continue working on or better an existing product. Sometimes clients will reach out to you not because of they want to create the idea from scratch. Probably if you start working with Microsoft tomorrow, or probably start working with NetDI tomorrow, or any tech firm out there, right? They might not ask you to start to create a product from scratch. It will be you probably adding new feature, creating new features, designing new features to an existing product, or making an existing feature more user-friendly to their particular users or their customers, right? So basically that's just it. So client might contact you as a product designer or as a UX designer to build a product from scratch. Why another client might contact you to actually better an existing product or add a feature, right? So whatever the needs are, a client will always look at it from the business point of view. Now, the reason why I brought this particular point here is to let us understand that a client look at a product from the perspective of the business, right? In other words, whosoever you are working for, from your employer to your contractor to your client, if you're a freelancer, they look at whatsoever thing you're working on from what? From the business point of view. In other words, how am I going to meet my business goals? How is this stuff going to make me sell more? How are we going to make more money? How are we going to hit our target? How are we going to hit our traction? That is how every client look at that particular product from the business point of view, right? So that being said, the next thing I want to talk about now is your job, right? So your job as a product designer, as a UX designer, will be to convert the brief into a prototype. So when the clients reach out to you, they will give you, or they will come up with a document that is called project brief, right? So this particular project brief now, you are going to convert this particular project brief and come up with what? The prototype, right? And from the brief to the prototype of that particular feature or that particular existing feature that you are advancing or making it more better, more user-friendly, or that new product that you are designing from scratch, you are going through series of processes in order for you to move the client's requirements, the client's need into that particular actual product, right? Which is the prototype. That is your job, point blank. So if you are here with us tonight and you are thinking of actually learning product design or becoming a UX designer, what you're trying to become is an architect in this particular industry. You know what an architect does in the construction industry, right? They basically come up with the 3D, they come up with how the building is going to look like before the builder start building it. That is what you are going to do for us in this particular tech industry. Your job is to come up with how an app is going to look like. The app is not functional, it's nothing. It's just like it's a prototype. It's a graphical representation of the actual product, but it is not the actual product. And it is like a blueprint. So that particular prototype of blueprint will guide the developers to actually develop and code that particular app into what you actually designed, right? So your job now is to convert this brief, which in most cases is in a documented format, probably in MS Word, in PDF, in any way that they give it to you. Your job is not to walk it through several processes and put it here. So by the time you get to prototype, you are actually done with your job. That is all. That is what you are learning. Now, in this class, what we want to concentrate on is actually this process. What are those processes? What are those processes that I have to take this brief through in order to get to this end product, which is what? Prototype. This is your raw material, this is your ingredients, and this is your served, already prepared meal, ready to be consumed, right? But whosoever is hungry, in this case, the users of that particular business. Now, let's take a look at it from the user point of view. Remember, we took a look at it from the client point of view, right? That the client look at it from what? From the business point of view. Then what about the users? The people that are going to use that particular application that you'll be designing, or that particular web application you'll be designing. The user subconsciously wants the product to meet their needs or requirements in such a way that they will be satisfied, right? A user wants you to meet their need and want that particular product. If you download an app, for example, an app that will help you convert a PDF into Word, right? From the point of view, from your own point of view, from your own perspective, all you want is that once I upload my PDF document, I want to basically click on download or click on convert, and the next thing I want to see is what? MS Word. That is what you are looking at. Why from the client point of view, they want to see why you are converting that particular stuff. How are we going to make money? How are we going to get more people to keep using our application, right? So that, because if more people use our application, we are going to make more money. How are we going to keep these people happy, right? So these are two different perspectives, right? So client point of view, which comes from business, User's point of view, which comes from what? Satisfaction. They want to basically be satisfied, right? So that is the user's point of view. Now, let's take a look at some bad habits. Now, this will be me, what's the word now? No, this will be me breaking some tables or shattering some tables. Some of the bad habits that I've seen from probably beginner to intermediate designers in the industry. Number one, designing for aesthetics or beauty only, right? If you're just designing so that your stuff is going to be fine, blah, blah, that's a bad habit, right? Designing for beauty only, it's a bad habit. I always tell people there's a difference between the fashion that you guys see on the runway. If you're watching a fashion show, right, and you hardly see somebody wear those kind of fashion dresses or outfits, you see those runway models put on and wearing it and walking on the streets. True of us, guys, you hardly see anybody doing that, right? So there is different from that kind of design, that kind of outfit, and the outfit that people actually use on their day-to-day life or day-to-day activities, right? So if you're designing for aesthetics only or beauty only, you will actually have a bad habit. Number two, if you're designing 2 or 3 screens just to post on social media without solving an actual problem, you actually have a bad habit. I want you guys to tweet these things, right? Tweet it after this particular webinar. If you're designing 2 or 3 screens just to post on social media without solving an actual problem, you actually have a bad habit. I once asked somebody to send their portfolio for me, not to beat this particular guy. All he has in his portfolio is 1 or 2 screens, probably 1 dashboard, 1 homepage, 1 this, 1 this, 1 that, different things just scattered, right? That particular designer has what? A bad habit, because that designer is not solving any problem. The designer is the product designer is just designing without solving problems. So that's a bad habit. Number 3 bad habit, design for the praises from other designers. I always tell people these things, right? You don't design for other designers to tell you that, wow, Sean, you did a great job. Wow, John, you did a great job. Wow, Peter, you did a great job. You are not designing for other designers to actually give you accolades. No, that's a bad habit. You are not designing for that who say, who for that designer to praise and say, wow, who designed this stuff? No, you are designing for users to be satisfied and for that design of yours to actually meet the business goals. Oh God, I don't know if anybody is getting this particular remark. Let me repeat myself. You are not designing for your fellow designers to give you accolades. You are designing for the users to be satisfied using that particular product and for that your design of yours to meet the business goal. Is that clear, guys? So if you're designing for that designers to actually give you accolades and so on and so forth, you actually have a bad habit. Number 4, if you're designing without putting process under consideration, designing without process, you actually have a bad habit, right? You actually have a serious bad habit. If you're doing any of these stuff, I tell you guys, you have a bad habit, right? So I always tell people, if you take a look at designs from Facebook, Google products, there is no any out of the moon design. There is no any design that makes it feel as if something is trying to fall from space. It is over creative and so on and so forth. Like there is nothing like that. But there is one thing spectacular about when you see designs from Google, or you see designs from Facebook, or you see designs from all of these Microsoft, all of these top companies. They keep their design so simple that even the dumbest of person know how to use that particular design. I bet you here, nobody read an article or watched a YouTube video for them to learn how to tweet on Twitter or probably learn how to post on Instagram. That is how easy that particular their design is, right? In fact, I always tell people this thing. The more you try to make your design beautiful, the less good that design becomes, right? Oh, I don't know if you guys are catching this remark. The more you are trying to make your design beautiful, right? The more you are trying to make design beautiful, the more you are reducing the greatness of that particular design, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I am not trying to say your design should not be fine. I am not trying to say your design should not be amazing in terms of visual appearance. No, I'm trying to say that should not be your number 1 priority. Your number 1 priority should be what I'm about to discuss in the next slide. This should be your number 1 priority. What really is UI UX design? The even blend of, what am I writing here? Let me go and correct this thing. The even blend of user requirements and business objectives. Where did I type this thing? Let me go and correct it. There's a little typo there. the even blend, this is it here. I want to say off, and then said on, or. All right, okay, I've corrected it now. The even blend of user requirements and business goals. Now this is it, right? This white area, right, is what the user wants. That is the satisfaction. I give an example of what is the word now? I give an example of somebody that wants to convert PDF to MS Word. The user wants to install your app so they can easily convert their PDF document to MS Word. That is the user requirement. What is the business goal? The business goal wants more people to use that particular application, and hopefully some people will upgrade to the paid plan so that they will make more money, so that they will be in business, right? So now what you want to do is, how do I evenly bring this, what the user wants and what the business wants together to come up with a product? If you can blend it to this point that they intersected, that is this particular dark area, is your job as well as the product designer. So this is the product design. So I tag that word, the product design. So what exactly is UX design, or what exactly is product design? It is the even blend of user requirements, what users are looking from that particular business to what business goal. Now, I don't want to mention a name here. There was a certain time I was trying to use one of these Nigerian fintech application and so on and so forth, right? And in my expectation, right, I have this expectation in my mind that, okay, I'll be able to open bank accounts with this particular fintech company using their app probably in 5 minutes and so on and so forth, right? I installed the app. The next thing I saw, from after registering, I saw upload your picture. I uploaded my picture. From one KYC document to another KYC document to another KYC document. 30 minutes, I'm still battling with this particular app, right? That's why I just use anger. Out of anger issues, I left that particular app. Until today, they have lost me as a customer. I don't have an account with that particular fintech company anymore. Not anymore. I didn't even create the account in the first place. Why? Because the UI was beautiful, but the experience for me was bad, because my expectation is that I'm going to open an account in less than 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and it took me 30 minutes. They were just asking me one question, upload this document, upload that document, from one document on that document. I got tired, right? I know somebody that told me that they switched from a particular payment gateway to another payment gateway because it is easy for them to create payment link and start accepting payments. While the other one will require a lot of verification in 2-3 days before you start accepting payments. And that's one of the reasons why he switched from a certain payment gateway to another payment gateway, right? That is the user expectation. That is the user requirement. And if the user requirement is not met, the business is actually going out of business. I don't know if you guys are getting it. If the user requirement is not met, the business is actually going out of business. And if the business is going out of business, the product design was not done properly. And your job as a product designer is not just to design. Your job as a product designer or your job as a UI designer, the reason why they will be paying you or a company will value you, because you are blending the user requirements and the business goal. Now, I know I have a couple of friends that they work with some of these big companies. Even a friend of mine work as a user experience researcher in Microsoft and so on and so forth, right? And you would think probably this girl, she's one mad-ass designer. She designed something that is coming out from the moon. But the truth is, if these designers that work at Microsoft or work at Facebook come up with these smart designs that it is out of the moon and so on and so forth, where are those particular designs in Microsoft products, or where are those particular design in Twitter products or in Facebook products and so on and so forth, right? They are nowhere to be found, but they know how to ensure that this particular even blend is done. I'll give you guys another example before I proceed. An example of this is using TikTok and I want to compare TikTok and Snapchat. Of course, you know Snapchat, right? If you use your Snapchat app and you take a picture, do you know that you can download that picture without posting that particular picture, right? But on TikTok, for you to, if you use TikTok to take a picture or make a video, for you to download that particular video, you have to post it first. If not, TikTok will prohibit you from downloading that particular video. Now, the idea, I'm speaking from an outsider's perspective. This is my thought. Right? My thought is probably inside the company when they were creating the product called TikTok, they thought to themselves, look, if we allow these guys download our content without actually posting it, our app we have no content, right? And people will turn our app to camera. I tell you, so many, I'm not saying 99, but a huge percentage of people that use Snapchat use it as camera only. They take pictures on Snapchat to post on Facebook or post on Instagram or other social media platforms, and they don't even post it on Snapchat, right? Probably, I don't know, probably from Snapchat perspective or point of view, I don't know, I've not worked at Snapchat before, so I don't really know what's happening in there. Probably their aim is to ensure that more people are actually using their application to actually download or create content without necessarily posting it on their platform, right? But for TikTok said no. For you to do this, you have to post on that, or you have to post it. Now, if you take a look at it very well, from one aspect is the business. The business wants more content. TikTok as a business wants more content on their platform. And at the same time, the user wants to create content. So now, me as a user, I want to use TikTok to create content. TikTok as a business wants more content on their platform. So after I create my content, I have to post it. So now when I post it, two things have been met. The user requirements or needs or expectation have been met. At the same time, the business goal has been met, and automatically I have an amazing product. Who caught that Rema? Who caught that Rema? If you caught that Rema, let me see you guys send something. Let me even read the chat. Who is catching the Rema? I hope I'm not just speaking to myself. Who is catching the Rema? All right, somebody said they are catching the Rema. All right, cool. All right, so let me write down. That's cool. All right, that's cool. All right, so let me proceed. Now that's it. So that's product design for you, right? So now back to the process, product design thinking process. Now, mind you, I'm not trying to shy away or move away from our core topic tonight. Remember, the core topic tonight is what? UIUX design, beginner's guide to UIUX design, and practical implementation of product design thinking process. So now, having explained that product design is not just basically designing one or two screens, I highlighted some bad habits that you might have, or some of us here might actually have as a product designer. I know so many people that probably are the ones that just design their first screen. The next thing is they'll go on Twitter, they'll tweet about it. I just designed my screen, blah, blah. I'm not saying it's bad. Yeah, I'm not saying it is wrong. But what I'm saying, it's a bad habit that might not make you to fully understand product design thinking process. You might spend your next 1 year as a product designer without you having one complete problem that you have solved. Instead, you just have one or two screens. Now, what I really want to concentrate on is the process. The truth of the matter is, if you just go on Behance or go on Dribble to look up for design and you replicate the design and you pick up an idea and you design it and you post it, you are not actually solving a problem. You're not a product designer. I'm sorry to say that. The reason why you're not a product designer is because you're not solving a problem. You're not blending user requirements and business goal. And whenever you're blending user requirements and business goal, you're actually solving a problem. Anytime you blend user requirements and business goal, automatically you solve a problem. And when you can do this, then you can call yourself a product designer. But if all you do is to design one or two screens and say, I just design one fintech application that can do this and do that, blah, blah, you're not solving the problem because you're not clearly stating these are the user requirements and this is the business goal, and you're merging it together. Right? I'm going to give you guys practical explanation, practical example, practical one in this particular class. So please just sit tight with me. Right? So let's talk about this particular process now. Product design thinking process. So now back to the tweet I made. I made a tweet and I said, look, I asked somebody in an interview and said, look, give me a product design thinking process, and the guy started saying some stuff, right? Now, I was expecting something very simple. Product design thinking process is not something that you form. This is like a standard, right? This is not my opinion. This is a fact. I'm not the one that created this particular process. This is not Sam Olaju's process. This is not Neddy I's process. This is not John Doe's process. I don't know who created this particular process right now, but I know that this is an industry acceptable product design thinking process. Product design thinking process anywhere in the world. Product design thinking process. We have 5 major product design thinking process. Now, I have seen some people, I've read some articles somewhere where they increased it or they call it some other name. I cannot attest about that. But this particular 5 product design thinking process that you can see on your screen, this is what I call the industry standard whenever somebody asks you product design thinking process, right? I know somebody must, I will take a survey, I will design this, I will do flow, I will do that. Amazing. That is your process. But I want you to be able to relate your product design thinking process to this particular industry standard, right? Which is number 1, research. Number 2, define. Number 3, ideate. Number 4, prototype. And number 5, test. Now, you don't mix it. You don't start from define before research. You don't start from ideate before define. You don't start from prototype before research. It is accordingly. So somebody gives you a brief. Now let me take a step backward. So now, before I get to this particular product, right? Before I move from the brief to this particular product, I will pass first 5 stages. 5 stages. Number 1. Stage number 1 will be what? Stage number 1 will be what? Research. Stage number 2 will be what? Define. Stage number 3 will be what? Ideate. Stage number 4 will be what? Prototype. Stage number 5 will be what? Test. After this 5 stage, I'll get what? Product. From brief, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 product. When I get to product, the end, I'm done with that particular project. The end. Now, this is the industry acceptable product design thinking process. Now, to some of us here that are intermediate or even expert or advanced amongst us here, this might not be your first time seeing this. I strongly believe that. If you know this is not your first time seeing this particular product design thinking process, can you please just indicate, say this is not my first time seeing it. I need somebody to support me on this. So that other people know that I did not just propagate it. If this is not your first time seeing, amazing. This is not my first time. Please, can somebody just say something? This is not my first time. This is not my first time. Amazing. Now we have a lot of not my first time here. So this is to show you that this is not. I'm not the one that fabricated this stuff. I learned it when I was learning I learned it. So as I've learned, and that's what I'm sharing too. So of course. So now, but I want to break this thing down so that in the future, or somewhere, somebody asks you product design thinking process, please try to mention stuff that's aligned with this 5 product design thinking process without you saying something else, right? Please try to do that. Now, I want to break it down. Remember the course is what? UI UX. Remember the course is what? UI UX. Now, this is where probably you want to take a screenshot so you can always go back to it. This is the point where you want to write it down or something, right? The reason why I'm saying this is that product design is divided into 2. UX design and what? UI design. That is why most people call it what? Some people call it UX UI, UI UX. If you ask me, I prefer to call it UX UI. Why? Because user experience design comes before UI design. But somehow, I started calling it UI UX, right? But I think it should be called UX UI. But anyway, anyhow you call it, you get the point. UX design comes before UI design. And product design in this sphere of influence is divided into 2 parts. The UX design and what? The UI design. That being said, now let's take a look at the core process. In other words, stage 1 under research, what is expected of you? Stage 2, what is expected of you? Stage 3, what is expected of you? Stage 4, what is expected of you? Stage 5, what is expected of you? That is what I'm about to actually cover. And this is where you want to take a screenshot or something. Now, one of the problems is that most people if you go on YouTube right now and you say, okay, let's do a simple search. If I go on YouTube right now and I say, product design, learn UI UX design crash course. That's why I always ask people, how did you learn? I'll show you something now. UI UX design course, right? Of course, YouTube is an amazing tool, right? UI design tutorial. YouTube is an amazing tool. If you search for something on YouTube, you're definitely going to see something. Somebody's going to post something. Now, if I go UX design material, UX design, okay, UX design tutorial for beginners, blah, blah. The moment I Google anything, or UX design crash course, okay, this guy, I think I know this guy, he's very popular. The moment you Google this stuff, this is about how many minutes video he did, how many hours. Okay, let's see. The moment you Google anyone, you start watch anyone, the first thing you're going to see that before you know it, the designer is already on Figma, trying to show you how to use Figma, blah, blah, blah. And that is how so many people end up not learning the right way. This is how so many, I'm not trying to say this video that this guy created is bad. No, it's not bad. It is good. In fact, I will recommend it, but I will not recommend it for an absolute beginner, right? Because this guy, the next time this guy will say, look at the content now. Interactive UI challenge, Figma overview, choosing background, adding layout, blah, 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 blah. The next thing, most of the things that people will just learn immediately is how to use Figma. They'll start designing on Figma. Probably after they learn how to design one or two screens, they'll call themselves UIUX designer. And this is where I used to have issues with graphic designer that are transitioning to become UI designer. They think that UI UX or product design is about graphics design, right? Because they already have knowledge of basically some basic design principles like alignments, typography, colors, combination, and so on and so forth. They just basically think, it's design. I can easily just come and put one color, put one text, and put one picture, and put it here, automatically have a design, and I will also add product design to my what's it called, to my CV or portfolio, right? So what I'm trying to say is that people that learned this way might not, I've used the word might, right? Might not understand this process, that there is process involved before you get to what, to where, to UI design, and your foundation might be flawed, right? So that's the point I just want to make. So let's take a look at this particular stuff. UX design. Number one, research. Now, when you are carrying out research, you need to pass through these 5 things. Number one, research objective, or what I call knowledge gap. Number 2, hypothesis. Number 3, research methodologies, methods or methodologies. Number 4, carrying out research. Number 5, competitor research. So now once they give you a brief, the next thing that should come to your mind is research. And in research, these are the things that are expected of you. What is the objective, or what are the objectives of your research, or what some people call knowledge gap? What is the hypothesis? What is the research methods or methodologies that you are going to use? How will you carry out or convey your research? And how will you carry out the competitor research? How will you research about the competitors? Then after you do that, you move into stage 2. Stage 2 is about define. Wow, I need to round up. Stage 2 is about define. It's almost 9. Stage 2 is about define. Number 1, empathy map. Define is you saying, okay, now that I've researched, I've been able to what? Empathize, right? In fact, instead of research here, let me correct this stuff that I wrote. Instead of research here, empathy. Most people will call this, instead of research, they will call this what? Empathy. Empathy. Or empathize. Some people will call it empathy. Some people will call it what? Empathize. Who agrees with me here? Who agree with me here? I do. Amazing. So let's call it empathy or empathize. So right. So under empathy, I'll prefer I call it empathy actually. The reason I prefer call it number 1 empathy of research, because empathy is where you put yourself under in the shoes of the user to try to understand their pain points, right? So under empathy, you are carrying out what? Research, right? Let's change the second one to empathy. Let's change this to empathy. Let's change this to empathy, right? So empathy is where you actually carry out research to understand the pain points of this particular user, their frustration, because you can't solve a problem that you don't understand. I'm the owner of the idea. You are not the owner of the idea. So before you start building the solution, you need to be able to what? Be able to carry out those particular stuff by putting yourself in the shoes of these people. And when you do that, is by carrying out what we call research. So you want to know your research objective, your hypothesis, your research method. You want to carry out how you want to carry out the research and competitor research. After you do that, after the empathy stage, the second stage, you want to what? Define it. Definition is your problem. You want to define the problem. This and you want to now say, okay, after I have put myself, I've empathized with the user, and I've come to realize that, okay, this is the problem that these users are actually facing. Problem number 1, right? You put it down. Then you prepare it in what we call what? An empathy map, a user persona, a competitor analysis. Don't worry, I'm going to show you guys a real project so you guys can actually relate to what I'm talking about, right? I'm going to show you guys a real project because what I call this is practical implementation of design thinking process. So after I go through it theoretically, I'm going to show you guys the practical, but I'll make it very fast, right? So just sit back and relax. You want to create what? The empathy map. When you are creating the empathy map, you are creating what the user think, what the user feel, what the user see, what the user do, what they do. When you're creating the user personas, you're creating the frustration or the pain points of the user, you're creating the goals or the objective of the user, right? The next one you want to come up with competitor analysis, right? The fourth thing you want to come up with that definition is SMART. We call it the SMART goals: specific, measurable, actionable, or achievable. Sometimes A stands for actionable, sometimes A stands for achievable, realistic, or time-bound, right? So we'll call it the SMART goals: specific, measurable, achievable, or actionable, then realistic, and what's time-bound. Once you do this, you have actually defined. Now, the next thing you want to do, you want to what? Ideate. Now, ideate is that you want to come up with what? The stories. The first thing you want to do under ideate is ideate is about solution. Here, under empathy, you understood their problem. Under definition, you now highlight their problem. Under ideate, you are trying to solve their problem. How? You create user stories. User stories is, as a user, I want to be able to do this so that I can do that. You create user stories. You create user journey map. You create site map. You create low fidelity user flows. You create task flows. You create wire flows, right? Once you do that, you are done with ideation. The next thing you want to do, in fact, once you do 1, 2, 3, you're done with UX design. So if you want to learn user experience design alone, what you want to learn is what? All of these things. 5, 4, that's 9, plus 6, that's 15. You want to learn 15 things. You want to learn research objective or knowledge gap, hypothesis, research method, kind-out research, computer research, empathy map, user persona, computer analysis, SMART, and ideate, user stories, user journey map, site map, low fidelity user flow, task flows, and wire flows. You want to learn all of these things. Now, once you are done with this, you are done with what? UX design. So when people say, UX design is hard, UX design is right? I don't think anything is hard. Anything is hard when you don't know it. Actually, that's my philosophy. Anything I don't know is hard to me. So whosoever knows that particular thing is not hard to that particular person, right? So after that, we're done with our ideate. Now we want to move to our UI design. What is our UI design? Our UI design is what? We want to come up with what? Our design system. Our design system comprises of so many things. Comprises of our components, our variants, our state, our colors, our character style, that is our typography, our iconography, that's our icons, and so on and so forth. We want to come up with our design system. We want to learn about low fidelity wire flow. We want to learn about high fidelity wire flow. We want to learn about mockup. We want to learn about prototype. We want to learn about high fidelity user flow. We want to learn about developer handoff. Now, mind you, high fidelity user flow is different from what? Low fidelity user flow. Now look at it now. Low fidelity user flow is under UX, but high fidelity user flow is under UI. But at the end of the day, UI is under UX. I don't know if you guys are getting this stuff. UI is under UX, right? So basically that's it. So high fidelity flow can be under UX because it's a flow, but it is UI that is under UX. Then we have developer handoff. So this is where you prepare that particular product to actually give a handover that particular product to, or that particular project design to the developer, right? So I call that the developer hands-off, right? Then the last but not the least in the process is testing. So in testing, number 1 is planning. Number 2, you want to recruit participants that is going to help you to test that particular data. So I found an article that I said I'm going to share with you guys. So just in case you guys can actually see this particular article, let me share it. It's on testing. So just in case anybody wants to learn more, it is a little bit elaborate on testing. So just in case anybody wants to learn more on testing, you guys can actually use that. You guys can actually use this on testing, right? I found an article on that is actually cool. You guys can actually use that. So you want to plan, you want to recruit participants, you want to design tasks, you want to run session, then you want to analyze insights and report. Now, the truth is the project is done. After prototype, the project is done. But testing, remember at the research stage, you empathize with a certain people, right? At this particular stage, you empathize with certain people. You now realize, okay, these people have a problem. At this stage, you have actually solved the problem. Ideation stage, you've solved it. And prototype stage, now it is now a product. Now you want to take this particular product back to them and see if they can use it effectively. If they can use it effectively, it has passed the tech stage. If they cannot use it effectively, what do? You note the parts that they cannot use effectively and you take it back to the designers. That means the designers didn't do their job well, right? They'll go back and readjust to that kind of stuff and they'll redesign their stuff back, right? For example, when we are designing the current AI platform that we are designing, how I wish it is live, I'd love to show you guys. When we are designing it, right? We made our home page to be able to scroll when you're scrolling vertical. We call it the opposite scrolling. We did an opposite scrolling effect. Whereby when you're scrolling vertical, it will decide to be scrolling horizontal. It was creative. From our own point of view, we felt like, wow, damn, people will love this stuff. It is really, really creative, right? But when we push it out for people to test, a lot of users were complaining that, look, this stuff is annoying. They told us point blank, yeah, this stuff is annoying. I want to scroll down and this thing is taking me left. Like, so you guys cannot even see the creativity that this stuff is doing opposite of what you're wanting to do, right? But to them it was annoying. So despite we loved it, it's to we were from our own point of view, we are trying to be creative, but the users were angry about it, right? So we had no choice than to do what the user wanted us to do. So we have to take the horizontal scroll stuff out and put it back to the normal vertical scroll. Right? That is after the test. So after you prototype, you take it back to the user. If they like it, fine, it's passed, you're done. If they don't like it, you report it and you test. And that is how. So once you've done these things, you're actually done with that particular product. The next thing you want to do is conclude the project and give it to the developer, and there you go. Now, but before we go, I also want to talk about core responsibilities and different areas that you could specialize. I have 4 here, but it's actually 5. One of them is missing. We have the UX researcher. These are special UX specialist and responsibility. If you follow my content very well on social media, very well, you realize that I'm a preacher of niching in. I always tell people, in fact, I made a thread about it a few weeks ago on Twitter. I said, it is not compulsory that you know all of these things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is not compulsory. Right? You can actually niche in one step at a time, right? You can focus as a UX researcher, and as a UX researcher, your core responsibility will be to carry out UX research, empathy mapping, user persona, computer analysis. You can become an information architect. Your core responsibility will be user stories, user journey mapping, sitemap, and user flows. So I was talking about core responsibilities. I think that's where I stopped, right, guys? So I was talking about different responsibilities. UX researcher responsibilities, information architect responsibility, usability analysis responsibility, and of course UX writer's responsibility. Now, if you are a UX writer, your job is to come up with the product copies, like the invalid password. In fact, all the write-up on that particular application is your job. The usability analyst, your job is to carry out the testing phase of the design thinking process, right? So basically that's what they do. So we have one more specialty here that is missing, and that is the specialty of a UI designer. UI designer, these are the guys that actually carry out the actual design, the interface of design, and so on and so forth, right? So before I started the class, I started to do a little bit of Google search and just drop it on one tab because I plan to actually talk about it. So I went on Google and I searched for user experience research jobs, and I happened to find something right here on Google. And I saw that Kuda Bank just listed 6 days ago that they are looking for a UX researcher. Now, mind you, I always love to make this particular point clear that you must not learn everything, right? You must not learn everything. You can just be UX. You can also be a UX researcher or UX designer or UI designer, and you will still have a successful career. You can still get a remote job that will pay you in $2,000 per month, $4,000 per month, $8,000 per month. It depends on the firm that actually hire you. And you could see they require like 2 to 3 years related experience and so on and so forth. But let's not talk about the experience. Let's talk about the responsibility. Now let's take a look at what they want, what they expect the ideal candidate to be able to do. They want you to be able to conduct primary and secondary research, conduct and evaluate quantitative and qualitative research. Now, the question you might be asking me now is, Samuel, what is quantitative and qualitative research? These are research methods. Now, if you go here, if you remember, I shared somewhere around here under research, I need to know research methodology, method and methodology, right? So that particular requirement is just telling us, okay, they need you to have a clear understanding of what research methodology. They want you to perform market and ethnographic research. They want you to be able to work closely with cross-functional teams to identify and evaluate research topics, right? So basically, if you actually get this particular job, I guess, you'll not be designing any screen, but you'll be basically carrying out research, right? They want you to advocate research findings to diverse audience through writing and oral presentation. In other words, to be able to present it, perform usability studies. They also want you to also be somebody that can also carry out testing as well, right? Ask questions, gather and analyze data, use diverse set of UX tools. Now, I will give you guys my observation from the industry so far, so good. One thing I've realized that despite the fact that I, Samuel, came down here and I divided this stuff into like five different areas of specialty, I've realized over time that the industry or employers recognize just three. Yeah, you heard that right. Employer, especially in Nigeria, right? I don't know about other places, but one thing I've observed, even when you look at job descriptions, responsibility, and so on and so forth, right? I'm one of the person that will advise people that, okay, if you're venturing into any career path, it is good to just, even if you're not yet there to apply for a job, it is good to always go out there, search for jobs and see the responsibility and see if you know some of the things that they want you to be able to deliver on when they finally give you that particular job or even give you that particular gig. If you want to be a freelancer and you're still learning, go on Upwork and search and see what other freelancers are offering and see, can I offer the same thing? Can I offer them? Let me use that word, right? Can I create something better than what they are creating in that particular sphere of influence? Right? I always do that and I advise people to do that. And based on my observation, if you are looking for a UX researcher job, they combine the UX research and information architect and usability analyst into one person, and most employers will call that UX researcher, which is not supposed to be so, but yeah, that's what I have observed, right? So if at the end of the day, you want to become a UX researcher, I would just advise you to combine both the research part and the information architect part together so that you'll be able to do both empathy, define, ideate, and even test. Because if you take a look at this particular CUDA bank, if you take a look at this particular CUDA bank here, based on this responsibility, they want you to do about three things. They want to do the research, they want you to do the usability analysis, which is the testing part of it, and they also want you to be able to actually come up with the flows, right, part of it as well. That's about three things, and they call the particular job description UX researcher job, right? So that's one, and it's not just only them, right? I've observed it from other people. This is GoCard too as well. If we check that of GoCard as well, looking for a user researcher job, let me see if I'm going to see responsibility. It's not going to be far-fetched as well from what the other firm is actually putting in through that particular place as well. So it's not going to be far-fetched. Let me go back to my Google. It's not going to be far-fetched. See, conduct primary and secondary research, conduct and evaluate quantitative and qualitative research. This is GoCard. They're saying the same thing. Perform market and it just felt like they copied themselves. For usability studies with customers, ask questions, gather data, analyze data, use diverse set of UX tools, mentor and coach junior UX researcher on the team, advocate for findings and Don't these two things look alike? Or am I reading the same thing? Just few changes though. Just few changes. No, it's the same thing. Let me count it. Sorry, I just want to prove myself wrong. Second to the last, ask question, gather, analyze data. Let's see GoCard again. Second to the last, a strong desire to create problem. No, not this one. Ask question, it's the same thing. I don't know. The two companies, they copy themselves. Right? Okay, let's take a look at seamless HR. This one's going to copy the same thing, of course. Okay, this one is quite much. Formulate and implement UX strategy and framework for organization, blah, blah. So You get the point. Now, the second point I would love to make, and I say, okay, look, Samuel, you Googled UX research. Now Google UI design job and see if you see something. And I found out something again when I Googled UI. And I realized that so many people that list their job that they are looking for UI UX designers are not actually looking for UI designers. They are actually looking for a UI designer. For example, let's take a look at this particular firm, right? They are saying that they are looking for UX UI designer to work for them remotely. But based on their responsibilities here, they're not looking for UI UX designers. They're not looking for a UX designer. They're looking for a UI designer. Now let's take a look at the responsibility. It said translate the concepts into user flows, wireframes, mockups, prototype that lead into intuitive user experience. This is a UI designer job. Design accessibility standard. Create user-centric designs by understanding basic requirements and user feedback. Translating requirements into style. What requirements am I translating from the research into style guides, design systems, design patterns, and attractive user interface? This is the job of a UI designer. Take a user-centric design approach and rapidly test and iterate your designs, showing and troubleshooting UX patterns. Collaborate effectively with other team members and stakeholders and management. Incorporate customer feedback, manage metrics, and usability findings into design. In other words, they're telling me that all the whole thing that they discovered during research, I should be able to convert it into design to enhance user experience. Ask smart questions, take risks, and champion new ideas. Now, just like me reading this particular job description or responsibility, I realized that, okay, these guys are not looking for a UI UX designer. They're actually looking for a UI designer. But the job title is not just accurate, right? Not just them. I took a look at some other people also that also wrote UI UX designer, and I realized that these guys are not actually looking for a UI designer, somebody that can do research and do design. They're actually looking for somebody that can actually do design only. Now, the point I'm trying to make is still simple. The point I'm trying to make is the fact that if you learn UI UX, you can look for user experience job alone or look for UI job alone. And sometimes, if you look at it as the responsibility, you will know what is needed of you. Now, the second point I'm trying to make, again, is the fact that, let me go back to my design thinking process, is the fact that if you are trying to transition into this particular career path, my advice, my recommendation as Samuel will be that don't just start designing immediately. Try to understand, why am I designing what I'm designing, right? Why am I even adding this button towards the left? Why is this button even red in the first place? Why am I choosing this particular layout in the first place? What are the reasons beside all of these things that I'm doing? Now, this will lead me to share with you guys another material that I would love to share with you guys. Now, if you go to my Twitter profile, I created about 5 videos and a series of videos, 5 videos. And those videos, I was talking about laws of UX, right? I don't know if anybody here have seen it. If anybody have seen any of these videos, you can just tell me, just drop a comment that I've seen one of it. I created videos about laws of UX. Has anybody seen it? Like, you've seen it, right? Perfect. Charles is saying that he has seen it. Laws of UX. Now, of course, I didn't formulate those laws, right? It was not created by Samuel, right? I got it from somewhere. I read about it from somewhere. I learned it from somewhere, and I'll show you guys the source. So this site is called lawsofux.com, right? And in this particular site, I found out about 12 laws of UX. I just picked 5, and I clearly explained 5. I converted it into videos, and I explained it, and I shared it, right? So I picked 5. I think I covered Jacob's law, Miller's law, Parkinson's law, Hicks law, and Fitts law. That's this one. I did this one: Fitts law, Hicks law, Jacob's law, Parkinson's law, and Miller's law. Look at the Parkinson's law here, right? So in this particular site, you're going to see about 12 laws of UX. Now, it is always good. In fact, I think these laws of UX, that's why the fact it's called laws of UX, it affects UI designers more. Let me just share the link to the website, just in case any one of you might be tempted to say, okay, yeah, let me check it out after the training, after the class. You can also check it out for your own personal consumption at the end of the day, or you can also watch the video where I explained them. But I'm just trying to say that this was where I got it from, right? I didn't just fabricate it from, oh, I'm sending it to one person alone. I didn't just fabricate it from anywhere. All right, laws of UX. All right, so, okay, yeah, so that's it. So that's it there. So you guys can actually check that site out. So it's an amazing resources as well, right? Laws of UX, right? And it's cool. It's beautiful, right? What I'm trying to say that once you study this website, for example, now I tutored Parkinson's law, and Parkinson's law was stating that any tax will inflate until all of the available time is spent. And I was saying that one of the things for you to actually implement this law is making use of autocomplete. For example, now, if you go on Google, you search for stuff, you're going to see auto-suggest. What's happening? If you go, okay, if you go on Google, you are going to see auto-suggest or something, and I think it's really great. If you go that, you're definitely going to see that. And or if you're trying to book a ride, you'll be able to see what's it called? You'll be able to see your previous destination. That they are trying to save you time. In other words, they're implementing the Parkinson's law. It's always good you expose yourself to these particular laws, so you will know the reason why you are doing what you are doing. So when somebody asks you why you do this, and if you expose yourself to this particular kind of stuff, right, with time, right, so you're going to be an expert, you're going to be a thought leader, you're going to be somebody that, okay, this is why this stuff is not just for beauty alone, and this is why I am doing this, right? So somebody is telling me that please talk about UX writers, right? Yeah, this is one part I hardly talk about, but since someone is asking me, let me just talk about UX writing a little bit. Now, in terms of UX writing is basically coming up with copies, right? For example, it is someone that let's say the people that basically design, someone that decides, okay, let the copy of this be laws of UX of best practices that designers can consider while building user interfaces, right? And someone that came up with this particular copy, but how do they know that this particular copy is going to communicate to the target users, right? How do they know? Through research. So the job of the researcher as a copywriter, as a UX writer, you also need what the researcher came up with to actually do that. Now, this will lead me to what I want to end today's class with, right? So this is what I plan to use to end the class. I lost audio. Are you serious? But can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me now? So should I continue? Should I continue? Oh, all right. So I was trying to say that, okay, I want to end with something. And what I want to end with is to show you guys a project that practically implemented all of this stuff, which will boil down to the topic of today's class, because the topic of today's class is what? Practical implementation, right? Because I think I wrote practical, yeah. And a practical implementation of product design thinking process. So I want to show you guys a project. I want to just quickly walk through a project in the next 2-3 minutes, where I will show how you can actually move from point 1 to point 5, from stage 1, empathizing stage, to the testing stage, and every other stage inside an actual project, right? So I'm going to do that in a couple of minutes, right? That's what I was discussing about, I guess. So that being said, where is this particular project? No, so this is the project here, and let me look for the UX. Okay, this is the project. Now, an overview of this particular project. It's a simple e-commerce application, right? And the aim of this e-commerce application is to help people check out at ease. To help people do what? Check out at ease, with or without creating an account. Now, imagine you visiting Jumia or any e-commerce application. You don't need to create an account. So we call that quick checkout or express checkout. You don't need to create an account, and you can place your order. You can just get a jean, for example. Let's say you want to get a denim jean or a sneakers. You can just place an order, get the sneakers without you creating an account. So with that doing, and we are believing that the owner of the particular project is believing that he's saving time for the user and is not bothering the user with the stress of actually creating an account, creating password and so on and so forth. They can just place order with or without creating an account. So the unique thing about this particular e-commerce site is a particular feature called guest checkout. So now, the big deal, the problem now is very simple. Now, if I go by this particular thinking process, the problem I want to solve now is how do I blend users' and requirements of wanting to shop a particular product at ease, right, and save time, and also how do I blend it with the business goal that wants to get people to actually buy stuff from them at ease, also by also what, saving time easily. So now if I'm able to blend this goal, get more people to buy from this particular business using this particular product or this particular website, right? And at the same time, users can, in few clicks, probably in 1, 2, 3 clicks, they can easily perform that particular action of placing an order with or without creating an account. I automatically have an amazing product that I've designed for this particular client. Now, the first part of the stuff now is to understand my research objective. So I came up with research objective. In my research objective, I want to understand the demographics of the users. I want to understand the geography. Are they Nigerians? Are they from another country? So I was able to understand their thought patterns. I want to be able to know their frustrations. What are the things that they hate about getting buying stuff? I want to be able to understand their goals. I want to be able to know their habits. So I came up with an hypothesis. Of course, an hypothesis is what you believe that is going to solve the problem without you carrying out the research, right? So I come up with this hypothesis that users will love a one-click checkout as it will save them time, and we love if the application can remember previous delivery address, and it will increase user satisfaction. And this is me trying to not just only create a checkout process. This is me trying to predict that, okay, if I add the Parkinson's law by adding what I call persist data, whereby if they come back next time, even when you don't even create accounts, the app should be able to remember that it is you, probably by tracking your device and also remembering your previous delivery details as well, right? Then I came up with different methodology, right? So they have quantitative methods of research, they have qualitative methods of research. So based on this particular project, I use quantitative, right? I use qualitative. Now, qualitative method is when you're talking about the reason why people do what they do, why quantitative has to do with numbers, right? So when you're building a product from scratch, remember we gave two assumptions of clients. A client might want you to build product from scratch. A client might want you to better an existing product. So if you're trying to enhance an existing product, right, you might want to carry out quantitative because you have a metric that you want to improve. But if you don't have a metric that you want to improve, you might want to carry out what qualitative. So this will actually help you to know what research methodology do I want to use on a given project. Now, after said that, I now carried out to cover my research and I use survey questions. So now there are several ways to actually survey question could be one. Number one could be interview. I could remember actually carrying out a research whereby we have to go and start interviewing people, interviewing these riders, a logistic application. We have to move down the streets. We printed questionnaires, interviewed a lot of riders and so on and so forth. But for this, I did an online survey using Google Forms. And here are some of my survey questions, right? So after I did that, I've done, so just by this alone, if I go back to this particular point, I have done this. I have done empathizing. So now all of this here have actually helped me to what? Empathize, right? All of this have actually helped me to empathize. So the next thing is to define. So to define, I created, of course, if I think what software am I using, I'm using FigJam, right? It's inside of Figma, it's part of Figma, FigJam. So I created an empathy map that is very, very simple. So the empathy map, I just wanted to know what the users say, what they think, what they do, and how they feel, right? And based on my research, guys, based on what I got from this research here, I was able to realize that, okay, user wants to buy what they say. I want to buy something. What brand do I like? Should I order online? They think like, where should I buy it? Is this what I want? What is the price? What is the return policy? They think about all those stuff. So and what they do they go on social media or Google search or Google to search. They visit the website. They compare prices and delivery time. That's what they do. So what they feel, right? They feel it should be easy to shop online. They feel that they should not be able to waste their time, and they also feel like they should be able to have several options. Now, went ahead and created the user persona. And the most important thing in the user persona is the frustration and the goals, right? In user persona, and I realized that, okay, look, being able to, one of their core frustration is being able to, being required to register to make purchase, no clear navigation and difficulty in searching for intended item, no multiple payment options, right? And one of their goals is they want to check out without creating an account, want to quickly find item, they want the site to remember, they don't want the site to remember personal information like their ATM cards and so on and so forth, especially their payment information, right? They need to develop trust in order to provide financial information. They need some level of trust before they start providing their card details, and that's why most of them will prefer bank transfer or pay on delivery. And I look at their habits, the habit of this particular shoppers, what will motivate them to actually shop. Some of their motivation will be return policies, fewer shopping steps. I created another one so as well. Detailed product description will motivate this guy to shop more. Having more options motivates him to also shop more. Need extensive description about the product, easy checkout process. I'm having several options to shop from. So I have some of these stuff now. If these are their goals, as a UX writer, I need a user persona to be able to come up with what an amazing copies. I'm speaking to the guy that asked me about UX writing. So now, probably in the homepage of this particular site, I want to have a section that is going to say something like, that's going to say easy checkout or one-click checkout as part of my copy, right? So they will know that they don't need to create an account on first glance. In fact, there is a rule in terms of usability testing and it's called the 5 seconds rule. You guys should check it out, right? On first glance, basically, we call it the 5 seconds rule. So after that, I went ahead to create my competitor analysis that I got on my competitive research, right? And I choose a framework. There are several frameworks that you could use for your competitive analysis. SWOT analysis is one of the most popular ones, right? But we have other analysis like other frameworks like the Porter's 5 framework, the Go Share metrics, and so on and so forth. About 5 different competitive analysis, which would depend based on the products that you are researching for. So computer 1, computer 2, and us, which is this particular platform that is called QuickShop. So I researched based on product categories, pricing, and multi-vendor, and I did the user story. Now, if I go back to this particular stuff, you realize that I've done my definition stage, right? I didn't do SMART, and I started work with ideas. And the first I'm going to do with ideas is user story. So let's take a look at how user stories look like. Sorry. So these are user stories look like. So in the user stories, I had to come up with, as a user, I want to be able to what? Search for product so that I can find product. As a user, I want to be able to what? Add product to cart so that I can purchase product. So user stories looks like product backlog if you are working on agile methodology of development or product management. Because I've seen something like this, right? That's what we call user story. Sometimes they call it product backlog as well. So as a user, so this will tell me all the whole story that somebody wants to go through. So after that, I did what? User journey mapping, right? So in my user journey mapping, I was able to say, okay, this will be the journey of the user from the points where they are searching for a product to the point where they have actually purchased the product. I look at the actions they will take at each individual journeys and at each individual stage. And I look at how they will feel and I look at the opportunities. Now, one of the things I look at for in journey mapping, right, is what? The opportunities. Because as a UI designer, you want to also come up and look at this opportunity so that you ensure that under where you create the search page, you are actually seeing all of this stuff, right? Basically. Then after that, I created the site map. Of course, the site map is basically like a hierarchy, basically. And after that, I created the user flow, right? So the user flow, this is a low fidelity user flow that look more or less like a flow chart, if you ask me. Then after that, you might go ahead and start creating my wire flows and my tax flows. And if I'm creating my tax flows, it's going to be falling back to my what? My user story. So after I've done this, I'm done with what? My product. I'm done with my UX research. So let me go back to this particular stuff. So after I've done this, I've gotten to wire flows or tax flows or low fidelity user flows. I'm done with what? UX design of this particular simple project. So the next thing I want to talk about will be my prototype and my testing, right? So that'll be the next thing I'm going to do. So I have to come back here now. Where's that particular project again? Okay, this is it. So I have to come back here. And when I come back here now, the first thing I'm going to do is basically start to work on my wireframe. So I did all of the wireframe, right? So of course, I had to cover all of the wireframe. I had to cover the design. So under my component, I have all of my components set out for this particular design that I'm going to use to create my design system. Of course, you can see my text styles there, you can see my color styles here, and you can see my effect as well, and other things that I use to actually bring this particular project to life. So I have to create like, I love working with 3 pages or so on and so forth. It depending, if it's a small project, I don't create a complex design system for this, like a small project. But if it's like a huge project, I create a complex design system for it, right? A more detailed design system for it. So this particular one, I had to do the wireframe. So I did the wireframe from the home page. Now, one of the key things that you realize in this my wireframe is that, at first I was using like demo text. Sometimes I find it very difficult to come up with write-ups, right? But doing wireframe, I can just add demo text, right? Now, this is an example of what high fidelity wireframe. I think I'll just drop in a hint here. This is low fidelity wireframe of this category panel, and this is the high fidelity wireframe of this particular panel. So this is a difference between low fidelity, high fidelity. High fidelity of image, low fidelity of image. Basically, all of these are basically low fidelity. It is good to keep your wireframe under the 50 shades of gray, or better still, just use one color maximum. So I created the wireframe. And in this particular wireframe, I had to go back to my UX. Now, somebody have asked me this particular question, Samuel, we've done UX, but when we are doing the UI, it seems as if we're not making use of the UX. My reply was, that means you do not know the usefulness of the UX, right? Now, one of the usefulness of the UX, if you take a look at the particular product, now let me go back to my UX now. Under my journey map, I realized that under my product details, I said that opportunities is going to be for me to show what related product. It simply means whenever I'm going to design the UI, not this, whenever I'm going to design the UI, I'm going to ensure that related product is going to be part of the product details page because of what? In the UX, it is part of the journey map. Now, another thing again that you notice here is that under the search page as well, there should be what ability to show top selling product and also show recommended product as an opportunity under the search page. So I have to take note of that while designing, right? How do I take note of that while designing? So when I went to the search page, let's look for the search page of this particular design. So this is the search page. So when I went to the search page, I have to ensure that, okay, no matter how you search, I'm going to include a pagination in this particular UI to solve that particular problem, right? Because I needed to include that. Right now, for example, if I'm not doing that, if the particular has another opportunities, I would have used what we call the forever scrolling. Now, you guys know what we call forever scrolling during search. It simply means that once you are scrolling down, you don't need a pagination to do that. You should just start showing you next content. For example, if you're scrolling down Twitter and you're looking for more tweets, we call that particular stuff forever scrolling, right? The pagination is forever scrolling. Instagram is forever scrolling. Facebook is forever scrolling. But something like this, now I have to use a pagination called the load more product. So I'll load the first 12 product, and based on that search, if the search is long, then I'll say load more product. Then after that, I'll now show the top selling product and recommended product. So simply by creating this UI like this, I have simply implemented the opportunities part of my user journey map. The second step I need to understand again is that when the user finally purchase, the opportunity is to upsell or cross-sell related products. Remember, if I'm upselling and cross-selling related products, I'm also achieving what? The business objective. You don't forget that my client is looking at it from the business point of view. They want to make more sales, right? So I need to find a way to ensure that they make more sales after the purchase. So let's take a look at the success page. So now, the success page, I have to implement that under my UI. So here's the success page again. So so basically, the success page should be around here. So this is the success page. So now, once the user finally gets a particular product, right? I say success, you have successfully placed your order, blah, blah, to track your order status, click here, and so on and so forth, related product that you can buy or stuff. So this is me trying to add on that related product in success page as a way to upsell that particular stuff, which was also highlighted under my journey map. Of course, now you might also be wondering, how did I also interpret the user story? It's very easy to interpret user story. User story is one of the most easiest things to interpret because you're going to say, as a user, I want to be able to search for product. So I have to see that instead of my final product, I'll be able to trace all of this stuff. And another question you might be asking me, Samuel, how did you come up with your user story? From my project brief. This particular client must have given me a project brief that is what they want users to be able to do. So I'll use that to come up with my project brief, right? But so by the time I be able to trace all of my user stories instead of my design, I know that I have actually completed that particular project and it is up and running. Now, for me to actually do all of this to come up with this user journey mapping, I also have to look at my competitors, do my computer analysis research and see where they are not actually doing fine, where we can actually outsmart them or outbeat them. And still yet, I'm not going to take it outside the conventional way e-commerce application look like. Now, the reason why I had to choose this particular simple e-commerce application or this simple interface for this particular design is very simple. Most e-commerce applications that users are already used to are the ones that have like a slider here and a category section by the side. Most popular e-commerce applications. So instead of me to design something super fancy, I said, look, let me give this user what they're already used to. And guess what? I am actually satisfying a particular law, right? That I say, which is called the Jacob's law, which states that users spend most of their time on other sites. This means that users prefer your site to work the same way as all other sites they already know. In other words, I used to give people an example of using stories. I used to tell people that, for example, if you notice that Snapchat came up with stories inside the social media space, when Instagram implemented stories, it looks like Snapchat. When WhatsApp status implemented stories, it looked like Instagram stories. When Fleet, if you guys can remember Fleet inside of Twitter, it also looks like stories. That's why they named it Fleet. We all knew it was stories, right? It was easy for us to use. When LinkedIn came up with stories as well, whatever name they called it, it looks like stories. Similar UI. When TikTok was trending and Instagram also implemented something very similar, they changed the name, they call it Reels, right? And if you look at the Reels UI, it looks very similar to TikTok UI. Why? They don't want the user to learn new thing, right? And that is them basically obeying the Jacob's law inside of their mind. So this is you trying to solve this particular thing. Now, UX is about laws. UX is about understanding the user, understanding how the user thinks, how you can better serve the user, at the same time improving satisfaction and also improving business, meeting the business objective. Why UI is to make this stuff pleasing to the eye at the same time. And of course, UX supersedes UI at any point in time. You want to prioritize your UX over your UI. So we came up with this particular stuff here. And basically, this is how the mock-up looked like. So I had to come up with the mock-up, and I did the mock-up. And let me go back to my design. Sorry, guys. And I go back to the design, and I have the mock-up. So this is the entire mock-up of that particular stuff now. So this is the mock-up of that same design. So if I come down here, and I had to play this up a bit, let me play the search page. So I have to give user something amazing, something modern, something easy to navigate, and at the same time, not giving them something that is too far away from the kind of e-commerce sites that they already know. If not, it will be definitely difficult for them to actually join, right? So somebody's telling me the class is still on. Can you guys please help me share some of these guys in the group, the link for them to join, right? They're just sending me WhatsApp messages. WhatsApp messages here, right? Still on. So basically, I did this as well, ensure that there's amazing prototype here for people to be able to do a lot of stuff, basically. So I think I prototyped this. I also prototyped this as well. Then you go to apply filters, right? So something similar to what people already know how to do. And after that, I did the stuff. Okay, I think this is the search page, and I did all that page. So the next thing is to prototype it. Then after I prototype it, the next thing for me to basically prepare how am I going to hand over this particular design to the developers. And this is where I'm going to introduce you guys to another tool, just in case if some of us don't know this particular tool. So I call this particular tool the overflow.io. Of course, you can do the same thing inside of Figma, but of course, using another tool like this might make it much easier. They have free plan, and basically you can check out the pricing. But let's take a look at some of their examples. Overflow.io. So overflow.io is one tool that allows us to create high fidelity user flows at ease. Let me launch this particular example to show you how, at the end of the day, how I'm going to prepare this particular project to be handed over to the developers for them to really understand it. So now I have to now basically create sections for me to frame it. Now, these guys came up with a simple online shopping stuff as an example for people to understand their product. And they can actually use that to create what? Developer hands-off and explain that with some little bit of documentation instead of design system, right? And you can see this stuff looks like your regular flowchart or your low fidelity user flow, but this time containing your mockup By so doing, you're creating what the high fidelity user flow. And if you create stuff like this with a little bit of documentation, it will be easy for you to hand over this particular project to your developers, right? And so on and so forth. You've actually hand over that particular project to your developers. Then the next thing that you want to talk about is how then do I basically present this stuff or create a design system. Let me go to my Figma and say something. How do I now probably present it as a case study? Now, when I want to present it as a case study, I will now have to start going through this stuff one after the other, right? And probably I love to use Behance for case studies very well, right? And now use Behance to go after it one after the other, prepare the hero page for it, the cover page. There is a pattern you go through, then you now basically prepare the case study. I think I'm already preparing the case study here, but I'm not done yet. I think this is what I have open in a new tab. This is what I have. This will be like the cover page of the case study. Everything done on Figma, basically, right? So yeah, let me see if this one is going to look. So this is how the case study is going to look like. And I'll say design. So it will be an e-commerce case study. I think it's trying to do. There's an image inside of this stuff. Yeah, it's trying to do. So design with Figma, design by blah, blah, product property of blah, blah, and so on and so forth. So I'll prepare this will be my cover, my cover. Then I'll now start preparing my research, my findings, everything. To that particular point, so I'll have my high fidelity stuff. I can put it inside of my Behance profile or portfolio and so on and so forth. I have an amazing portfolio. I do this for like a couple of projects. I have several portfolios inside of my project. And yeah, when I start applying for a job, I will have much more confidence and back my application with much more prayers as well. So that being said, the last thing I want to end this particular class with is to show you guys some other things. So Anand went as far as, okay, look, I want to see other people's portfolio. As a beginner or intermediate UI designer, it's also good that you you expose your eyes to other senior designers' portfolios, right? So I searched from some of the guys that work at Apple, some of the product designers that work with Apple, and looking for their portfolio, and I found out some folks, right? So I found out about this guy called Johnny Vino, and he works with Apple, and this is his own portfolio website, and you should be able to see his work if you click down here. And this is some of the stuff that he has done. Even for Apple products, Apple rating and photos, he was the guy that actually designed the UI for it. And you want to basically check these guys, their stuff, how they basically arrange their case studies, and so on and so forth. Now, I know that most of them don't actually give you full access to their case studies, but by the time you go through it, you should be able to like expose yourself to more of them. So like this other lady too as well. Her name is Rachel. She also worked with Apple as a product designer as well, and this is her portfolio website. Then if you scroll down a little bit, you're going to see some of her works, and she will show you, I'm currently a lead designer for a new product at Apple. You can download my resume here or come follow me on Instagram where I talk about product design, right? You can basically follow her on Instagram as well, where she talks about product design and stuff. She's not, I don't know, but she should be on Twitter too as well. I found her on Instagram, right? So you see some of the stuff that she has done. If you click here, it will take you to some of her projects, her previous projects, and you can actually basically just expose yourself to their designs. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that it is always good that you expose yourself to these guys' designs. So you see some of the stuff, you realize that their designs are not out of the moon designs, basically. It's not out of the moon designs, right? They're just normal design that you know of, but the approach that they use. There is other guy too as well, that has an amazing stuff too as well that you guys can also check out, and a couple of them as well that you guys can also check out and see some of the things they have done for some of the companies they have worked on, and you expose yourself to their own design. So hopefully you pick one or two things from them as well, right? So back to my class. The question now is my recommended products design. Oh God, what am I writing? I think I was in a hurry while I was creating this stuff. So what I'm trying to write here is my recommended product design course, right? So if you're a beginner here or an intermediate and you would love to learn the right way, I will definitely recommend Nerdy Eyes product design course. You can actually read up on it. Where is it? I think this is it. So some of the things that you gain from the course, You'll be able to learn user experience design, user interface design, UI design principle, mockups in Photoshop, and so on and so forth, portfolio building, building of case studies. In fact, an amazing stuff. In fact, almost everything I discussed in this particular webinar or in this particular online class today, you should be able to learn it inside of this particular bootcamp. I think there is a training in Lagos, if you're in Lagos, and there's also an online training that is far cheaper. On the online training is about 60,000 naira. The physical training is about 150,000 naira, and it comes with like internship opportunity at the end of the training. For those of us that might be interested, you guys can check out NEDI. And what I can do for you, since we are ending this particular training now, I will mentor and guide you to build 2 case studies to add to your portfolio when you enroll for the NEDI product design course, either the online course or the physical class. I will personally help you, guide you, mentor you to build 2 case studies that will be part of your portfolio. And if you're not taking the NEDI online course, of course, the next thing I can do for you is that I have this Wednesdays. Where is that stuff? I have this Wednesday stuff that I always do every Wednesday. Where is it? I always do every Wednesday. That is Zendo. So I'm working on a particular project where it's a logistic project, actually a logistic app, Uber for logistic, as I love to call it. I think I've tweeted about it. Right, every Wednesdays by 8 p.m. I normally share the link inside the WhatsApp group for people that are available to join me. Every Wednesdays by 8 p.m. But I'll not be having this week Wednesday because I had so many engagements. It will be till next week. So every week Wednesday I have this stuff. I think CEO, one of the guys in the group, basically designed this particular stuff. I'll be reviewing his design. And if you join me, you can also add this particular project to your portfolio as well when we are done with it. And I have like amazing UX that we've done for it as well. Also done by some of our previous students as well, not myself. I'm just only like I'm overseeing what they are working on, right? So you can join me every Wednesday by 8 p.m. live as we work on this stuff, a handful of us, if you are also interested, right? So that's one of the things I could do for you as well. And just to iterate, if you take the NEDI course as well, you get me to basically, what will I do for you now? I'll work with you, I will mentor you, I will guide you to do 2 case studies instead of your portfolio from start to finish. All of this stuff I've discussed about, right? You can ask me questions and so on and so forth, right? It's really, really, really great. Something I will encourage you to do. If you have like 60,000 naira to spare for the online course, or you have 150,000 naira to spare for the physical bootcamp. And you can actually ask me, you can actually send me a private message on WhatsApp afterwards if you want to do that. I'll probably drop a WhatsApp, or probably drop a link where you guys can actually go up and read up on that. For anybody that is interested to do that as well. Then what next I want to talk about? What next? Okay, I want to share one more thing. So I have some resources for you guys that you guys might be useful. So what project should be in your portfolio? I think I made a video about it. I wrote click here. There are clickable links actually. I think where's that video? Okay, I think it's not here anymore, but I made a video about it. So let me click on it. So this is what project if you're thinking of what you want to add to your portfolio, I made a video about it. What project that should be in your portfolio? I mentioned about 4 projects that should be in your portfolio as a UIUX designer. So you can actually check it up on YouTube. There's another free resources. Figma, I made a video on Figma new updates, covering almost all the Figma new updates. You can check that on YouTube as well. I made a video on responsive design inside of Figma. You can also check that on YouTube as well. And I also made a video on UX Law. You can also check that on YouTube as well. And as well as check the official UX Law website where I actually got the whole idea from. And you can also check that as well. So I have some other amazing resources that I would love to add, but I don't think time will permit me to do that. So that's all I have to present to you guys today. So I'll start to share now. So anybody that has any question for me can actually go ahead and ask me any questions basically. Yeah, so that's it. So any questions?
Okay, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, is there a plan for payment?
Yeah, I think there is. I think it's 80,000 naira per installment. I think it's 80,000 naira per installment. It's 2 months of training, 1 month of mentorship, 1 month of paid internship. So basically, NEDI will help you secure a paid internship after the 3 months. And yeah, they will help you do that. So look for where you can intern and basically get your career started. So you can actually do that if you can afford it. But if you cannot afford it, what I want to advise people, I don't really advise people to learn on YouTube that is free. What I would advise people is that, like, let's say that you cannot afford like 150,000 naira or so to pay for the physical boot camp, or you cannot afford like 60,000 naira to pay for the online course. You can actually afford, you should be able to afford at least 5,000 naira to get an Udemy course, right? Yeah, you can get an Udemy course for 5,000 naira. It's better you learn that way than actually learning from YouTube directly. I think YouTube is where you go to pick 1 or 2 things. You just 1 or 2 tricks, 1 or 2 tips, 1 or 2 how to do this, how to do that. You go on YouTube and do that. Yeah, that'll be cool as well. And someone is asking me, someone, please, can we get a FigJam link to your practical UX process? God bless you for this tutorial. Unfortunately, I will not be able to give you that because that is NEDI's material. For example, now, if you pay for the course, so there is a video material from start to finish where I basically did all of those things from project brief level to the case study level. You can also like use that same process to tackle any project in the future, right? And those materials they're like premium materials basically. So I'll not be able to give the link to the FigJam, right? Or to those ones, but I should be able to give the link to the slides. Can I get an internship for you if I'm not in Nigeria? And so the unfortunate thing that for now, no. But in the next few months, hopefully, yes. Because we are currently working on a particular product that we're launching that is called the NEDI Workforce. NEDI Workforce. Let me see if I can even get this particular stuff started for you guys. And you guys will see what we are building on, what we are working on in the background. So you're working on what we call the NEDI Workforce Program. And in the NEDI Workforce Program, we should be able to fix anybody in any country an internship, right? But if you're not in Nigeria, unfortunately, for now, we will not be able to get an internship for you. We should not be able to, we are not able to, but hopefully when the workforce program starts, we should be able to have like foreign clients that we should be able to get foreign internship for you. But for now, just in Nigeria, or probably remote, but in Nigeria. For now. For now, hopefully. I can hear you. All right, that's cool. Yeah. All right. All right. All right, so there are 2 ways. Someone is just getting, let me just, because some people are in Zoom, so some people that are in Zoom may not be hearing your question. So someone just asked me that he's just trying to get into tech, so I'm trying to answer that particular question, like I should advise him what way to go. So this will be my advice. There are always 2 paths in tech. There is the technical path, and there is the non-technical path. Let me put that way. Technical part in terms of there is the coding part and there is the non-coding part of tech. So you want to choose. Do you want to learn how to code? And if you want to learn how to code, your first point should be front end, right? You should not be, all of this thing I will discuss tonight does not actually, it's of no use to you. I'm not saying it's of no use to you, but it won't be what you'll be doing if you actually want to go into the technical part of tech, where you become an engineer, or a software developer and so on and so forth. So your first step should be learning of HTML and CSS and thereabout. In fact, sometimes I even advise UI designers to also learn HTML and CSS just for the fun of it, just for them to just know a little bit stuff. For example, when you click on inspect inside of Figma, you see some of little code and stuff, so on and so forth, right? And even next month, by June, I should be having a free class that I want to hold for like 2 weeks or 1 month. We will be teaching people HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript for free, right? So you might actually want to use that to see if coding is for you or not, right? Then the non-coding parts of tech that you can actually venture into is what we are discussing tonight: product design. You don't need to know how to code, you are still in tech. Data analysis, you don't need to know how to code, you are still in tech. Product management, you don't need to know how to code, you are still in tech. And other stuff. I think I cannot remember so many of them right now, but like other stuff. So you want to ask yourself, do I want to know how to code, or I don't want to know how to code? So anyone that you think that your brain can carry, right? Basically, you can actually start from somewhere. But if you're looking at to try your hands on anything, I would advise you to start with UIUX Design. At least it will give you an idea of the entire product and entire software development life cycle. Then from there, you can branch into other stuff, right? Like for example, myself now, I didn't start as a product designer. In fact, I started as a digital marketer. From digital marketing, I became a back-end developer, then a front-end developer, and a UI designer. UI designer was the last thing I learned, right? So yeah. Yeah. I'm a full stack developer. Yeah, I'm a full stack developer. I'm three things. I'm a full stack developer. I'm a digital marketer, and I'm a product designer. Yeah. All in one head, I tell you. I'm trying to add content creator to my title since I'm creating all these Instagram reels and TikTok videos these days. I want to add content creator and content creator in view. I also add it to my CV. Yeah, on that question, go ahead. I can hear you. Yeah. 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 Or, all right, actually, so someone just asked me now, I'll try to rephrase your question so other people will get it from Zoom. Someone just asked me what's the advantage from somebody that studied computer science that getting into tech and somebody that doesn't study computer science from getting into tech. Now, I will say there is an advantage, number one, and I will say there is no advantage, number two. No advantage from my own point. For example, now, I didn't study computer science in school. I studied civil engineering, in fact. I studied civil engineering. I was thinking probably I'll be working with concrete and so on and so forth and cement and all those stuff, probably working in a construction site. But life happens, right? I learned one or the other, and here I am today, right? So there is no advantage actually. In fact, and if you study in Nigeria, and there's every possibility that the computer science that you study is of no use, because I've met so many people that, even people that don't study in Nigeria, I've met some people that study computer software. I've met one guy that studied software engineering in one of this Arab country, right? And I tell you, I was one that taught this guy HTML, right? And I was like, bro, you're studying software engineering. What are you guys learning there? So that's it. Now, but where the advantage might come in is that you might know some of the basic aspects of computing. For example, you might know this basic desktop publishing that everybody should know, because I've met some people that are trying to venture into tech and they don't know what an operating system is. They don't know what a terminal is. They don't know how to unzip a folder. They don't know what's a directory. They don't know what is a repo. So those little terminology that you think that everybody that know how to use computer should know, they don't know it, right? So probably to study computer science, during your definition classes, you probably must have familiarized yourself with some of those little computer terminologies. But that should not scare you, of course. Everything is learnable. especially when you're learning it the right way, right? Everything is actually learnable. So let me see some other people question here. Somebody say I should answer their question. Is it possible to learn UI/UX design, especially a newcomer in tech? Of course, everybody was once a newcomer. Of course, it is possible to learn UI/UX design. In fact, for example, like this, I'm not just trying to sell NDI course, but of course, I have to talk about NDI course. The NDI course, for example, is tailored to from beginner level to advanced level. So even if you're an intermediate person, you should actually think of learning, taking the NDI course actually. Do maybe you're trying to say something, you can go ahead and say something. Ask to unmute. Let me ask him to unmute. Do maybe if you are still here, you can actually go ahead and say what you want to say. Why I pick some other questions as well from Zoom. Hey, can we? Okay, go ahead. Maybe I can hear you.
Oh, yes, sister. I was just going to ask a question from the slide that you presented earlier. That is the person that you went through.
All right.
I was going to ask how you came up with the what's it called, the board thing. How were you able to extract the details from the research that you did from the interview? How were you able to do? I think it's called like the empathy board thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was going to ask if you extracted those details.
All right, so perfect. Somebody just asked me from Zoom right now, how did I extract those details from the research I did and placed it inside the empathy map? So permit me guys to share my screen. I think I have to share my screen to be able to like explain this particular question rightly. So permit me to share my screen actually. Share, I'm coming. This guy will always come and cover that of entire Windows. Let me share my screen. All right, so I'll go back to it. I think, where is that point again? Where is it? No, not this. I'm looking for, all right, I think this is it. Okay, this is it. Now, number one, for example, I did a simple survey question here, right? And I could remember what I used was Google Forms. So this is it. The first thing you want to do, if you want to go by my pattern, I want to use Google Forms. So I go to forms.google.com and let me search for something now. So if I go to forms.google.com, I have some research forms that I've created before, I guess, if it's not deleted here. Okay, so let me make it on this particular one that we did for NDI. So because we're building a community platform, we did this particular community member survey form we got 9 responses, and we asked some amazing questions here. These are some of the questions that we asked. And when we got the responses, we got some of these things here. And you see the responses here. I want to network, I want to be able to contribute to community, learn. These are from actual people, right? So we got the particular stuff from them. So once you have this stuff, I will now use this particular data. Sorry, let me go to my system. I should be able to find the research somewhere. I should be able to user research. I'm coming. I should be able to find it somewhere. Let me look for the I'm coming. Let me enlarge this stuff. Should be under. I want to show you guys an actual project that we did. Where is this stuff? Oh God. Where did I put it? No, it should be under my downloads. I've never moved it anywhere. All right, this is it, under document. All right. So this is what I was looking for. So this is user experience research for NDI new platform. And let me show you guys something. And we create different user groups. It's always good you know your user groups very well. And we had, okay, this one is for committees. Forget about this image. While they were exporting, while I was exporting this stuff, I did this stuff with XD, I guess. You guys are not seeing it. Hello, can't you guys see my screen? All right. All right. So I did this stuff with XD, right? So after we did that, I'm trying to explain her question, how we came up with that, how you came up with that particular data, how you extract the data. So the first thing I did was to create a form. Some folks filled the form, and I got the particular data. I sent it to some of our previous students, some of NEDI's previous students, and so many people that have shown interest in the community, and they filled in some data, and I used that to come up with a user persona for them called community member as a user group. I categorized this particular user persona based on group, and I was able to come up with a quote, a goal, frustration, motivation, influences, and psychographics. Now, before I know what point I'm going to fill, I should be able to understand my research goal or objective, which I call the knowledge gap. So that particular knowledge gap will help me know the questions I'm going to ask. So I'm going to ask questions that will help me understand their psychographics, that will help me understand what influenced them to join the tech community, and also what will be their goal or frustration. For example, inability to network with like minds, don't have clear sense on how to grow, need help to facilitate growth, lack of experience working with other talents is one of the answers we got when we asked them, what do you think you need to be part of a tech community? What are your motivations to join the tech community? Someone said, Samuel is my motivation, getting to know more experts in the field. I want to be better than the best, having a better life, the hunger to learn more. I have a community to meet up with. These are people giving us these answers, right? So from this, what are your influences? To what can influence you to join a tech community? Some people say curiosity, referral, want to explore, curiosity, blah, blah. So with this now, I should be able to use it to counter my influences. Referral, you see where we wrote referral and curiosity, tech trends, building personal brand, possible opportunities. So those are the things that will influence them to join a tech community. So now doing our copywriting or UX writing or doing our marketing, we can use this particular stuff to sell the platform and say stuff like join our tech community to learn about the latest trends on technology, blah, blah, or build a personal brand, join 10 other people that are building their personal brand to build a personal brand when they join this particular Nerdy Alliance community. Or we can use the goals and say, okay, come and network and so on and so forth. So how did we get this particular one word? I need a community of like mind to learn, network, and share my experience with. We'll call it quotes. So I guess we'll ask them a question like, in one sentence, why will you want to be part of a tech community in one sentence? So, so many people say something, some people say growth, some people say I want to be able to learn a tech course, build my portfolio and gain opportunities. I have always been drawn to tech and I feel like that's where my passion is. So basically we will collect this particular data, look for the recurring one and use it to fill in those particular knowledge gaps. I don't know if you get my point, maybe. Maybe are you with me? Oops, I don't know if maybe is still with me, but so that's the point basically. So for this particular one, where is it taken? For this particular one, I had to ask some of this question, and some folks filled it, and with that particular value that they filled, I was able to come up with this particular empathy map. And of course, if you're using FigJam is an amazing tool that you can use to basically create this stuff using some of these particular stuffs down here to basically create them. So that is how I came up with it and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, even when presenting it, I'm not going to present it like this because it's a little bit boring and not really, really pretty. I want to make it a little bit pretty when I'm presenting it for people to actually see. So yeah, that's how I came up with it. So I'll stop to share now. And I hope I did justice answering your question to maybe. So, stop. So let me see. Please, someone is asking me, please, will the internship be remote? Yeah, it depends on the firm. Majority of the internships are remote actually, so it depends on the firm, right? Abdulatif is asking me, thanks for the section. Okay, it's not a question. Thanks, nice. Thank you so much. I think of a question to ask. I'm thinking of a question to ask, blah, blah. Okay, I think I've answered all of these questions. So let's see. Let's see here too. Let me see if I have any question here. How many hours a week would one need to commit to the NEDI course? Actually, I would say you should commit like, if you ask me how many hours a week, I would say 4 hours. 4 hours a week under 1 month, you can actually finish it. 4 serious hours a week under 1 month, you can actually finish it, right? And if it is the online course, we do have physical sessions. Now, let me give you guys some of the differences with our online courses. With the online course, you're able to book one-on-one session with myself for free. I'll be able to mentor you to do 2 case studies for free. You'll join a private support WhatsApp group where you can network with other learners, and you'll be able to schedule a session with me one-on-one for free. Let's say you're watching a particular video, I did something in the video, you're finding it difficult to do, or I explained something inside of the course and you're finding it difficult to understand, you can send me a private message on WhatsApp. I will definitely reply you because you are taking the course. And if something we cannot resolve over WhatsApp, I'm able to come online via Google Meet with you one-on-one and solve that with you. So some of these things are what you will not get if you get an Udemy course, for example. You'll not be able to talk to the instructor. You'll not be able to chat with people. You know, if something's working in the video, it's not working in the system, there's nobody to talk to. And of course, I will also be able to give you some career guidance and sometimes throw some opportunities your way after your training as well. I know how many of our students, both online and physical, will have secured paid internship for, and even jobs as well for. So it's really, really cool, right? So that's one of the things that you might want to be looking out for. But if you cannot afford it, there is no big deal. I share amazing content. I host free classes, and you cannot stick around. You definitely learn a lot from me for free. But if you have little amount of money to spare, why not give it a shot? Can you give us a roadmap to the full stack developer course? Wow, this is for UIUX. I don't think I want to do that right now. I think you should write a book on UX, but not now, Tio. Not now. I don't think I have the time right now, right? So basically, okay. I think that's all for now. That's all for now. There's no other question here. I have a question. Is the virtual class live and not pre-recorded? And also, is there access to get the video recording after each day of the training? Okay, for the virtual class, they are actually pre-recorded classes. I think I didn't explain that well. Virtual class are pre-recorded classes, right? There is an online course. Pre-recorded classes, you have access to close to 70-something videos. They are pre-recorded classes, but we have live classes once in every 2 weeks, every Monday by 7 p.m. So we'll call it our question and answer session, where we just come online, you ask questions from the videos that you've been watching, if there's anything. I don't like live classes. I don't like, apart from webinars, I do like once in a while like this. But if I'm taking you through a journey, personally, I don't like live classes. So they are pre-recorded classes. Once you pay, you get access to the video. You start learning immediately. And I would, you join the support WhatsApp group, of course. Then once in every 2 weeks, every Monday in every 2 weeks, we have like live session that you can join. Then you can ask your questions. You can do other things there as well. So that's just it. Someone is asking me, please, is it possible you share or upload the recorded classes and also share the slides too as well? For the slide of this particular one, definitely I'm going to share it. The video I'm recording today, I'm definitely going to share it. Can you please drop a link to the Nerdy Eye course payment link? All right, I'm going to drop it inside the WhatsApp group. I don't think I have it now, but I'm going to drop inside the WhatsApp group after this particular training for whosoever is interested. That will give it a shot, right? I'll drop a link, yeah. And if you don't see a link, you can send me a private WhatsApp message. I will reply you, right? Send me a private WhatsApp message and you want the online course, I'll reply you, or send me a link or something. And I'll also drop the link. I'll try and drop the link as well. So basically that's it. Please, is it possible to share? Okay, that's it, guys. I think we've stayed enough of our welcome. So I'll just show you guys one thing that we're working on, then we'll say good night. So this will be the last time I'm going to share my screen. Just like 30 seconds. Just give me like 30 seconds. My mind is just telling me to show you guys this one. Then we'll say good night, right? We'll say good night. This will be the last time I'll be recording I'll be sharing my screen. After now, I'll say good night. Let me show you guys something. So if you go to your entire screen, right? If you go to Nerdy Eye website, and you see something that's a little bit cliche. So, but we are building, guess what, guys? We are building a community platform that we are hoping is going to launch in a few months' time. And this is the website. This is not our current website, of course. If you visit nerdy.com, this is not what you're going to see. You're going to see a much more ugly website that we did probably like 3 or 4 years ago. But this is the new community website that we are building. This is the homepage. And it used to be vertical scroll before, but so many folks do not like that. and we had to change it. And I love this particular scroll effect here. Looks as if everything is coming together. So we are doing an amazing stuff, and there'll be workforce and so on and so forth. Is it finding it difficult to load or something? I don't know. So many stuff is coming up as well. Now, but the most important part of this particular side that I'm working on is the community part. So let me see if I can actually go there. So the community part, you're able to like search for several tech communities to join. People will be able to create communities. All of these are demo images, right? People to create communities, and the community outlook will look like this as well. So cool. And it also has like a dark mode that you could toggle on as well. So you'll be able to see members. Let me step back a bit. You'll be able to like make posts. This is the post section. And so we have like an amazing profile section as well. You also have like accountability partners, communities. You can create your own personal communities, and everybody that there should be able to also host their portfolio on this particular platform as well, which is like cool. Let me show you guys the dark mode. So yeah, I'm super excited about this particular platform, and we believe that in few months it should be ready for the public to actually use. This is where anybody can actually like host their online portfolio and so on and so forth. This is the workforce. This is the affiliate section. And so, but we are basically concentrating more on the community section for now. And so yeah, so this is, you guys should be expecting something. So you have to view like your smash goal. If you have a continuity partner or a mentor, you guys can actually do a lot of stuff there and stuff like that. You can create your own community. You can earn as well. You can create your own private community. It could be public, it could be private, it could be open or closed. You could allow anybody to join. It could be limited to a certain number, or it could just be unlimited, and so on and so forth. You could actually share your own post as well. So creating a post is amazing. There's one effect I love here. If you publish a post, poofs, it just give you this graffiti stuff. It's amazing. You can share it across other social media platform. You can edit the post. You can see the entire post that you just created. People can comment on your post, blah blah blah. So it's gonna be great. So we are currently working on this actually, and so you guys should look forward to this particular community platform. And I'm hoping that when we launch it, so many people can actually come in here and host their communities. We just realized that there is virtually no platform for people to actually go and search for several communities to join. There are community tools like Telegram, Slack, Discord, but you can't just go on that particular platform and search for a certain community to join. But on this particular platform, you should be able to search for communities to join. You should be able to take up skill up challenges as well. Okay, I didn't talk about skill up challenges. You'll be able to take up skill up challenges and you see several stuff. And we'll try to keep the UI very simple. And on mobile, it should be very, very responsive. So let's see the mobile version of it as well. So on mobile is going to look like this. Let me change to iPhone 10. On mobile is going to look like this, something quite pretty as well, if you ask me. Look like something very, very simple like this. And yeah, it's going to be cool. And we hope that when the particular platform comes out, people are going to love this particular product and people are able to use it to create amazing communities. And yeah, so that's just it. So that's the plan. That's what we're working on right now inside of NerdEI. So that's just it. So I'll be making a tweet. So for you guys to just tell me what you guys learned. So I will appreciate it if you guys can actually tell me what you learned inside that particular tweet and just give me a review. I would love that as well. And I hope to see you guys some other time. So I have some stack of other courses, other free classes like this I would love to create, but I'll share it with you guys, and you guys will let me know if you guys are interested, that we can have something like this probably in 3 weeks time or in a month's time as well, or probably in 2 weeks time. It depends on how often you guys want values like this, right? So thank you guys for staying up to this time, 10:30 late with me. We are over 200 persons on Google Meet and Zoom that actually joined the class today, and I'm super impressed and excited about that. And we still have over 50 persons put together that are still live to this particular time, and I appreciate you guys for actually coming around. And have a wonderful night rest. Good night, guys. Good night. Yeah, good night. I appreciate you all. Good night. Let me take a screenshot so that I'm going to share it on social media.
Can I ask a question?
All right, you can ask.
Yeah, so is there an advantage for physical
Online. Yeah, the advantage of the physical over the online one is that for the physical one, you get a guaranteed paid internship. For the online one, you don't get a guaranteed paid internship. I think that's the major advantage. One. The second advantage is that I think the physical one, people tends to build more network with myself and us more in terms of access. I'm talking about access right now than compared to the online one. If you ask me for my biased opinion, those two things are the major advantage.
Okay, where is it located? Physical?
Yaba, Lagos. Yaba in Lagos. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Good night.